Good evening, Your Excellency, Mr. A.R.R. Maran, President, Mr. Raja Vaidyanathan, Dr. Venkatachalam, and members. We would start today's session with a formal welcome address by Mr. Raja Vaidyanathan. I request Mr. Raja Vaidyanathan, the chair of SICI's Foreign Trade Committee, to welcome members today and share his introductory remarks. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Good evening to all of you. A special thanks to Mr. Mubarak, Dr. Venkatachalam, President Arun, and other members present here at very, very short notice this time. It gives me great pleasure to welcome you all for this meeting today. I just have a few brief statements to make on this relationship of India and Sudan, after which I would certainly invite the floor to Mr. Mubarak. India, as you all know, has a very long history of partnership with Africa. It dates back to the early 1900s, though the economic cooperation started much later. India's economic engagement with Africa started only in early 2000. In fact, India's total trade with Africa grew from 6.8 billion in 2003 to about 70 billion now in 2018. And might all know that India is the third largest trade partner of Africa. Specifically with respect to Sudan, you know that India is the second largest exporter to Sudan after China. We have an export of close to $1 billion as of 2021, where the imports are about $100 million. Over the years that we have found new opportunities with Sudan, and I'm just touch upon a few basic opportunities now, which is more in terms of people opportunity. There's a very ample scope for collaboration in the area of skill development and capacity building between India and Sudan. In fact, under the Indian Technical and Economic Cooperation, India had offered about close to 300 scholarships to Sudan towards capacity building. E-Vidya Bharati and E-Arogya Bharati, which was started in 2018, with a specific aim to provide free tele-education to about 4,000 African students each year for 5 years, and continuing medical education for about 1,000 African doctors, paramedical staff, and nurses. In 2018, India Ministry of Human Resources and Development launched a Study in India initiative to attract students from neighboring African countries. In fact, Tamil Nadu, as you all know, is one of the bedrock of Indian education system, and SICI in our own, we have a lot of importance to this education, and we have a very dynamic education committee in our chamber today. Information technology could be an important pillar, apart from capacity, apart from that skill development. Information technology, as we know, we are all very strong in that, could be an important pillar of India's economic cooperation with Sudan. Tamil Nadu, again, is a leader in information technology and information. The chamber would be very glad to support your country, Sudan, in knowledge exchanges and other cooperative through technological committee which we have. In fact, many Indian civil society organizations and NGOs are playing an important role at the grassroots level in the country. Some Indian organizations like Pratham and Barefoot College are also playing an important role in Africa. There are significant Tamil population. I mean, I was surprised, in fact, to find out that there's a significant Tamil population of Sudan in Tamil Nadu. So the chamber, which has a track record of working with these diaspora, can certainly assist in this regard. The only aspect which most of us who are far away from the country or we are not very sure about the political development of in that country, and which has affected the democratic transition in Sudan. The new regime, apart from handling protesters, has to face growing international isolation, and that is a real issue on ground as we face today. However, we like to re-emphasize that Sudan is important for India. It is essential that we protect our investments, trade, and other interests in the Horn of Africa. The Red Sea region is very crucial to India's maritime security strategy, and this is why Shri V. Muralidharan, Honorable Minister of State for External Affairs, visited Sudan to further strengthen the bilateral relationship. India, has, to conclude, among Africa's continent, is the oldest and the most consistent development partners, and the country has gained tremendous goodwill in this region. The coming decade, we are sure, with the massive development which is being on opportunities being present there for both our countries. The COVID has definitely put a lot of things behind, not just for these two countries, but for the whole world at large. So I'm sure that once this is behind us, and SICI will continue to do its best to ensure that all stakeholders will come together towards progress and economic development of the country. And I again welcome Mr. B.S. Mubarak, High Commissioner of India to Sudan. And I don't think we can have any better person to explain to us, who has a clear ringside view of this country and the opportunities present, and also the state of economy today. Welcome you, sir, and over to Mr. Solomon to take us forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Raja Vaidyanathan, for your warm words of welcome and identifying those areas where SICI and subsequently Tamil Nadu as well could work closely with the Republic of Sudan. I request now Dr. Venkatachalam to share a few words at this junction. Over to you, Dr. Venkatachalam.
Thank you, Mr. Vinod, and also I thank you, Mr. Raja Vaidyanathan, for sharing his wonderful views on our relationship with Africa. At the outset, I would like to thank SICI for organizing this virtual seminar. Just I spoke to Mr. Arun. He was very enthusiastic in organizing this seminar on virtual mode, and today itself, I could see that more number of people are participating. Let me, just introduce the member, Mr. Mubarak, to the members. Mr. Mubarak, before going to Sudan, he was our ambassador to Guatemala. Then he was actually serving as a director and joint secretary in the Ministry of External Affairs. Then he was our representative to Palestine, and he is the 2001 Indian Foreign Service officer. And I don't talk about much about our relationship with Africa, that he will be the person to talk about. And I would look forward, continuing cooperation with SICI, for this kind of organizing this kind of meetings. And I'm really happy that SICI is very efficient in organizing this kind of meeting. Last time, unfortunately, I couldn't attend the chambers meeting with our Indian High Commissioner, but I hear that he had very wonderful, fruitful discussions with the chamber members. And I'm here from the Ministry of External Affairs to do more things, whichever possible ways, that branch secretary can cooperate with the SICI. We are ready to do that. With these few words, I hand over. Sorry, I'll just conclude my remarks, and now Ambassador can take on the stage. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Venkatachalam. I now request Mr. A.R. Arun, President, Southern India Chamber of Commerce and Industry, to deliver the presidential remarks. Over to you, Mr.
Thank you, Vinod. Before I continue, I must highlight that we never introduced Mr. Venkatachalam for the benefit of our participants today. Mr. Venkatachalam is the head of Ministry of External Affairs in Chennai, and one of the most active people that we have interacted with. That is for the benefit of the members. So starting with my address, Mr. B.S. Mubarak, Indian High Commissioner to Sudan, my dear colleague, Mr. Raja Vaidyanathan, Chair of the Foreign Trade Committee. I am particularly glad to also see a few other of our Executive Committee members joining us today. Mr. Irshad, who is the co-chair of our Foreign Trade Committee. I also see Mr. Sandeep Reddy having joined us, and also Mr. Naveen Prakash, who's co-chair of our Supply Chain Management Committee. And we also have a few others joining us today. Very glad that all of you could participate with us. As Mr. Venkatachalam had mentioned, yes, this event has been scheduled at very short notice. We have to apologize for that. Mr. Venkatachalam reached out to me this morning, and whenever he calls me, I immediately accept his request. I never say no, because he's a very, very courteous person and always available for anything got to do with the MEA Chennai. And I also have to thank Vinod, our secretary, for readily accepting to conduct this program at short notice. Yes, it would have been nice to be able to meet face to face, but with the current position of the COVID virus, I think it's better that we do this online. So glad that we could all meet online and go ahead with today's interesting program. We are very glad to have Mr. Mubarak joining us. I don't think Mr. Venkatachalam mentioned that Mr. Mubarak is from our own Tamil Nadu. So much more than Guatemala and anywhere else. We're glad that he's from Tuticorin, if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Mubarak. Glad that a Tamilian is representing India's interests in Sudan. For the benefit of those of you joining us for the first time, as well as Mr. Mubarak, as I mentioned earlier, SICI is a 111-year-old organization. We were founded in the year 1909 under the inspiration of Mahatma Gandhi. And we have been an extremely dynamic organization today, trying to be able to adapt and embracing change in various different ways. My colleague Vinod shared with me that while we think of pyramids, we always think of Egypt. And we always feel that Egypt has the most number of pyramids. But for the sake of, for my benefit that I now know, as well as for the benefit of all the others joining us today, Sudan has the most number of pyramids in the world, much more than Egypt. Glad to know this from Vinod. And for those of you who are not aware, Sudan is certainly a beautiful country. It is both African and an Arabian country put together, with the Arabic language, one of the most widely spoken languages there. Sudan has a very rich arable land, natural resources, and a very young workforce. So there are tremendous opportunities that can be gone after here. Of course, mining as well is a very good area to focus on within Sudan, whether it's gold or gas or silver or any other minerals as well. When we look at how SICI and Sudan can work together, of course, Mr. Raja Vaidyanathan, my colleague, had mentioned about IT and ITES. I would also like to add about engineering. I'm sure that there are various engineering requirements in Sudan that India and Tamil Nadu in particular can assist. Tamil Nadu has a very large engineering expertise spanning whether the process and power industry or mining as well. There are several areas that we can look at our companies assisting Sudanese companies to be able to move forth. And also a very good area is that of the diaspora outreach. SICI is the only chamber that has been represented into the government advisory panel formed by the Tamil Nadu government for reaching out to the Tamil diaspora globally. And I'm glad that, as well as honored to be on this advisory panel that's shared with the industries minister. Now, what is the objective of this advisory panel is to be able to reach out to the Tamil diaspora globally. So certainly we'll be glad to reach out to the Tamil diaspora in Sudan and trying to be able to get them together to partner along with Tamil Nadu in taking things forward. This again is in addition to the over 25 sectoral committees that SICI has formed. And earlier, or much rather than that, each one of our sectoral committees is an extremely active body, and it's headed by a person from industry. So just like how we have our Foreign Trade Committee that is headed by Mr. Raja Vaidyanathan and Mr. Irshad, as well as our Supply Chain Management Committee, which is represented today by Mr. Naveen. We have several other committees as well that are focused in their respective areas and headed by people from industry. We'll be glad to be able to go through these committees with you, Mr. Mubarak, and trying to be able to see where we can engage further. I'd also like to add that SICI is perhaps the only chamber that has been extremely active even during the pandemic time. Of course, the pandemic has thrown out several challenges in front of us, but we've been very gladly turning each one of these challenges into opportunities and being of good assistance to each one of our stakeholders. The Tamil diaspora that I spoke to you about earlier, I'd like to share with you that we conducted a global conclave in October of 2020. So that was the start of the Tamil diaspora outreach. And we had more than 4,000 participants attend this program online from 38 different countries, covering 300 associations. So it is that experience and expertise that we are now able to bring to the table to work with the government and trying to be able to engage further with the diaspora on a continuing basis. We are also doing a few new projects in addition to our regular sectoral projects, where we are working with the Chennai Corporation to set up a sister cities desk to connect multiple Tamil Nadu cities with those globally. We are also working with the Chennai Metro Rail to set up readers' lounges. One of the new initiatives that we are driving is that of the EV Center of Excellence, the Electric Vehicle Center of Excellence. So this is something again that we are working closely with the Tamil Nadu government to be able to set up in the Hosur belt to be able to take things forward for Tamil Nadu in this area. Certainly, we look forward to hearing from you, Mr. Mubarak, about Sudan and the opportunities that it offers. Surely, with the post-pandemic time frame, irrespective of what are the challenges that each country faces, there's certainly going to be huge opportunities that each country opens itself out to. That it's always good to be able to get to know and understand and take things forward. So, with that, let me close my address, and I would like to take this opportunity again to appreciate Mr. Venkatachalam for reaching out to us, for having the trust in us. I would like to again welcome Mr. Mubarak to this program. And I would also like to appreciate each one of our attendees who joined us today. We thank you for your continuing support, and certainly like to wish each one of you safe times as we go about this pandemic. Thank you again.
Thank you, Mr. Arun, for your words. I now like to request His Excellency Mr. B.S. Mubarak, IFS, the High Commissioner of India to Sudan, to briefly address the members. Over to you, Mr. Mubarak.
Thank you, Mr. Vinod, and thank you, President Siki, and my colleague Venkat, and all the other members who have joined. It's really a pleasure and honor to be here. And I apologize because I am the reason for this short notice, for inviting you in short notice, because today morning, as I was going for a courtesy call on CM, I thought it's a good opportunity to engage with the chambers of commerce here. So I asked Venkat, which is the most
Mr. Mubarak, we lost you.
Yeah, I'm coming back.
Audio.
Is
Probably
it
only audio mode will be easy.
is it audible?
Yeah, maybe as Mr. Venkatachalam says, you can cut off audio and we can video and we can just go with audio.
Absolutely. Yeah, now is yeah. So actually, I received a call, and I think let me try again. Yeah, if it is not a problem. So thank you once again, because it was my idea. I requested Mr. Venkat to meet and engage with chambers of commerce, with the most active chambers of commerce in Chennai, and he suggested that I should meet Siki. And to give a brief background, I was India's ambassador in Central America, Guatemala, El Salvador, and Honduras, and now I am moving to Sudan. I came in December here. I joined I received my credentials from the president. I came here and I'm sorry, I'm in a small hotel. Normally, we do it from a very good, meeting room and other things. So with all these small gadgets, I'm able to manage this. But I thought it's still important. So now, from Guatemala, Central America, we did a lot of events. we really had increased. We did almost 20 events to promote India's trade with Central America. Making the state we had
Yes, we lost him
we
again.
have involved a lot of. Yeah, I had stopped my video. Now I believe it will be slightly better now. Am I audible?
Yes,
Yeah. Now, the idea is I'm going to Sudan. I saw the trade figures. It's very good. Like 1.5 billion is what my brief says, which is of course better than many of the ASEAN countries. When I was in Delhi, I used to deal with ASEAN countries, and where our importance was so high, our focus was so high. Now I see at least four ASEAN countries fall back. 1.5 billion of trade figures with with India exporting for more than 1.1 is really a good figure. And some of the areas which I see, like automobiles, small engineering goods, textiles, pharmaceuticals, is also India's strength, and also is Tamil Nadu's strength. So I thought it would be very, very interesting to engage with the chambers where we can actually take this forward. This is more of a, what I would say is when I reach there, we will organize more such events. In fact, I was telling Mr. Venkat also, we have this state facilitation budget where we can promote a state. So if we are in partnership with one of the chambers here, the apex chambers, probably with any state. So all these state facilitation budgets where we organize state days can actually be focused on on a state where we can focus on industry, where so end of the day you not only promote the culture but also you promote the trade and commerce. Africa having its own limitation, we can not expect investments, but of course our trade potential is huge. So I also saw that medical tourism is one area where a lot of Sudani nationals come here for medical tourism, and that again is a great potential where we can see, because Tamil Nadu has a very sound health sector, and it can really help our industry to our hospitals to get more patients from foreign countries, and also coming to education sector, like a lot of Sudanese come to India for higher education, and again we have a lot of engineering colleges in Tamil Nadu which this can help. Today I met, apart from in secretariat, I met a few of our colleagues. I also met Secretary Industry, Mr. Krishnan, and he again said that we can even mount a delegation and from Tamil Nadu, where we can have multi-sectoral, like say textiles, from for medical tourism, for education, we can have a multi-sectoral team visiting from Tamil Nadu and come to Sudan. Now, as rightly spoken, there is a political instability, and I understand. But I have been told that in spite of the political instability, the trade and also the peaceful atmosphere of the country has never been compromised. So the trade has always been good, and at the same time, with this political instability is relatively new. I understand that in 2019 there was when Omar Bashir was removed, there was a political instability. But I was seeing through the trade figures, and I was also speaking to some of my colleagues who share that the society is very peaceful. They said in Africa, Sudan is one of the most peaceful countries where you don't have any kind of theft or mugging, as the culture itself does not permit these things. So even without much policing, without a lot of political instability, also the country is very peaceful. Given this, I would my idea is to promote Tamil Nadu, because like rightly said, I am a Tamilian. I come from Nagarkoil, not Kenya, not Tuticorin, and I have been promoting from in all like in my previous avatars also, I have been promoting Tamil Nadu, and I would love to join hands with Siki And what we can do is I can organize events like the president said that there are several sectoral divisions in Sikhi. So what we can do is wherever you feel is the somebody from, I will also assist, but somebody can do a matchmaking. And what we can do is whichever areas are the most potential, where we find the most all the good areas, what we can do is we can engage with the industry there, we can engage with the chambers there, and we can see how we can promote. Now, given that the virtual conferences have become so easy and common, and also the time difference is 3.5 hours, which is not much, we can do it initially to see where we can have traction. And once we find that there are traction in few areas, and based on the industry's request, we can help you. You can mount a delegation and we can facilitate everything there. So I had done this like 7 or 8 physical delegations we handled in Central America, and more than 20 virtual meetings post COVID we did, and it was very, very successful. Each of these sectors, we could see tangible gains in exports. Wherever we focus, we could see tangible gains in exports. So I would love to, engage with you at any level. I have, like I used to tell, as long as we can produce results, I could, and for me, this is one of the mainstay. Promoting commerce between India and Sudan will be one of my mainstay. And anybody, at the technical level, at the sectoral level, at the president's level, anybody, I would share my contacts through Mr. Venkat. I have a new number. I will be having a new number. I will share my contacts through Mr. Venkat, and I will take your contacts. And for me, it is promoting trade is the mainstay, as I said. And for me, promoting Tamil Nadu is a part, because it is not only, it is not that I am from Tamil Nadu, but we all choose a state. And I had chosen, Tamil Nadu as my state. So some people, even though they are, some people from Bihar or UP, they choose some other states for various reasons. But I had chosen Tamil Nadu, and we do a lot of events, and I would love to engage with you and do a lot of events around that. And these state facilitations can really help the state and also the sectors that we promote. When I was in Guatemala, because of my persistent effort, I could not even, there was a, because if you know, Guatemala is the largest exporter of cardamom in the world. But, our trade was 350 million, and 300 million was our exports. But Guatemalans always had this problem that we had levied a lot of duty on cardamom. So, however, what I was able to do is we were able to bring Indian investments there. When I was there, TCS came, UPL came. Wait, wait, and then JK Tires came. So what we could counter the Ministry of Economy there is, see, okay, we can't, because of our own internal issues, we can't reduce this duty, but see the kind of investments we are able to bring. And that actually mellowed them down. And then our trade increased. They were eager to promote our trade or our imports from India. And at the same time, we're welcoming our investments there. So the last assignment I did was joining the president of Guatemala in opening the TCS office in Guatemala. So for me, as I said, promoting trade is really important, and I will be grateful if, or if Siki can give me a nodal point. If you have region wise people who can be in touch with me, or if you don't have, you can tell me either at the president's level, or if he can nominate somebody with whom we can be in touch. I can at least organize, I can guarantee you in my tenure, I will at least organize 7 to 10 events which are Tamil Nadu based, and which will promote Tamil Nadu industry and development and trade in Sudan. And Sudan is a huge country, like in African standards. The country has 45 million population, which is a huge population, and it is two-thirds the size of India. 2 million square kilometers is the size of India. And apart from like the pyramids, the Nile starts from Sudan. The Khartoum is the city where the Nile starts, where the White Nile and the Blue Nile joins, and that is where the Nile flows. Though Egypt and Sudan, they are neighboring countries, they have a desert like atmosphere, or their desert like weather, but still, because of the Nile, there is no drought. they have very good agriculture, and they also don't have floods because there are no rains. So they get all the benefits, and they really like if I understand, as I understand, Sudan is the largest producer of many of the crops, including peanuts, sesame seeds, and this hibiscus, which is used as a drink in Latin America and other Arab countries. And also, like the president said, gold mining is something which is coming up very fast there. Lot of I'm told that a lot of mining companies around the world are looking for prospects in gold mining. And petroleum, they already have. We have ONGC, which has invested a lot there. We have a lot of lines of credit. It's not only about trade, but also projects and consultancy. So again, I see that Tamil Nadu has a lot of potential for that. And for any kind of projects, consultancy, we have already extended a lot of lines of credits to Sudan. And like from infrastructure development to any other areas, if there are companies which are ready to work in Africa, I'll be more than happy to engage with Siki. And then, as I said, I have a lot of my colleagues for Government of India. Now Africa is a priority, and a lot of my colleagues are in my own batchmate is in Ethiopia. My 1 year junior is in Tanzania. So if you see the whole of Africa, a lot of my contemporaries are around. So if anything has to be done Pan Africa, I can be the nodal point for you. And don't, please believe me, I am telling everything, every word of this is coming from my heart. So I was the one who had sought this meeting. So you can take all my words for granted. So anything, if you think there is a potential to engage, and if there are opportunities to engage, please let me know, and we will be more than happy to collaborate with you. I end my brief here, and then if there is any questions or anything, I'll be more than happy to take.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Thank you for your warm words, enthusiastic, and the passion with which you speak. We are more than happy to reciprocate it. Siki, we have for quite some time been focused on Africa. We've done quite a lot of activities. We worked very closely with South Africa. We have started working with Ghana, and we would be more than happy to work towards Sudan. And at the same time, as you have suggested, also Pan Africa. So we have done something similar with Indo-Latin America. So we would be more than happy to explore the synergies there. Thank you so much. As suggested earlier, if you could let us know your priorities. So we have over 25 expert committees, and through these committees, we'll be happy to narrow it down and work in a focused approach. Thank you so much. Members, the floor is now open. I request you to kindly introduce yourself first, and if there's any question, comment, or a remark, the floor is all yours. Please.
Vinod, if I can quickly just add for Mr. Mubarak's reference. Mr. Mubarak, I would also like to share with you that there are two other of our committee chairs who have also joined us today. One is Mr. S.M. Shankar, who's the chair of our Food and Nutrition Committee. And this is another major area as well that Siki has been working on. We work along with the Government of India's Ministry of Food Processing, along with FSSAI and NABARD. We conducted an excellent program in October of last year, focusing on food and food processing and nutrition. I think that definitely has a connection with Sudan, if I can say that. We also have Mr. D. Ravi, who's the chair of our MSME committee. Tamil Nadu, again, as most other developing economies, have significant number of MSMEs. I'm sure you're also aware that these MSMEs form a very major part of our economic growth. So we can always get MSMEs here in touch with MSMEs in Sudan and try to see how we can engage on that front. You had also spoken about a contact point. Certainly, our secretariat, which is headed by Mr. Vinod Solomon, is a good contact point. You also have a second contact point with our Foreign Trade Committee, where Mr. Raja Vaidyanathan is the chair of that committee. So both of them would be able to support you. Of course, we also have our assistant secretary, and also we have the co-chair of the Foreign Trade Committee, who are also contact points. So, sir, you can always reach out. You can also reach out to me as well. So there's absolutely no issues at all. I completely agree with what the industry secretary has also mentioned. I think looking at delegation both ways is also something of interest that we can go after. So certainly the list is large, and looking forward to working with you. With those words, certainly the members who've joined here, please feel free to introduce yourself, and please go ahead.
Thank you very much. Very briefly, I had shared my email ID and mobile number, which I would be using in Khartoum. So I would request Mr. Vinod Solomon to send me a small brief mail with the contacts. So I will, I'll be happy to be in touch, touch with Siki.
Vinod, if you can make a note of that, I think it's in the chat box.
Yes, I have noted it down, Excellency. So I would maybe in an hour or so, I would consolidate the list of the participants and I'll share it with you by evening.
Thank you.
So members may share their comments and thoughts. Please introduce yourself, and any questions or comments, please go ahead. The floor is yours.
Naveen here.
Yes, Mr. Naveen.
Yeah, Mr. Mubarak, nice to meet you, and thank you for your encouraging words. Especially trade to Africa is really exciting because of the challenges which are perceived, which may not be, which you have clarified to us that it's not so difficult. It's only a mental barrier. But here we, as my own organization from logistics, we handle a lot of less than container load cargoes. That is, any shipment which cannot use a full container, they use part container only. So there are a lot of shipments which are ready to go to Africa, especially Sudan also, engineering goods, in a smaller quantity where the client cannot afford to pick up a full container. So we have this particular challenge in Sudan, where there is no representative agents like in other countries like Dar es Salaam and Mombasa, where they receive the container and they remove the cargoes for various consignees and distribute. So this is one big challenge for the trade for the exporters from India. They have to depend either to fill the container or pay for the full freight. So I do not know why even overseas also we try to check with few agents overseas whether they can accept part load shipments into for Sudan, but they're very few, and there are only very few multinational companies who have these facilities available there. So if they have like in India, we have the Container Corporation of India, and some agency would be there, government agencies, which would be inside the port doing this activity in Port Sudan, so that we can encourage our exporters that we are in a position to carry less than container load cargo from India to Port Sudan. So this will be very encouraging for us. Rather sending the cargo all the way to Singapore or to Europe, it takes 90 to 100 days to reach there without any commitment. So that could be a very big step for especially industrialists in South India. That's my.
No, definitely. These are, I will request Mr. Solomon to make a small minutes of these, requests. The moment I land there and I'm free in a week or so, I would definitely arrange some kind of meetings with the logistics companies and see how we can manage this. This is very important to promote trade. I understand this. So this will be a priority for me.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Irshad, would you like to add your comments?
I'd like to thank you, Your Excellency, for a really passionate and welcoming, introduction to. Can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah. Truly encouraging. And my name is Irshad. I'm the co-chair for the Foreign Trade Committee, and I'm from the leather industry and footwear industry. So we are also present in Ethiopia. We have a manufacturing base in Ethiopia as well. And Sudan is a good source of leather, but unfortunately the processing, the aggregation is not done well. Therefore, the real value of the leather is not achieved, maximized. And So we would be definitely open to looking at opportunities, considering that we are already in Ethiopia. We would be happy to look at how to extend beyond there, from there, and look at sourcing materials out of there. The leather industry in India is in its growth phase now, so demand for materials from Africa, especially right now, from Uganda, Rwanda, there's a lot of leather coming into the country, but nothing, almost very minimal from, in comparison, relatively, from Sudan. So that would be definitely an opportunity that we would be looking into, interested in.
Sure. Absolutely sure. In fact, I had a meeting with the Executive Director, Council of Leather Exports, to see the exports also, what we can do. And he gave me some very good figures about exports. But this is also something good, importing raw materials from Sudan, which I am told that it has.
Mr. Mubarak, we lost you.
Yeah, we lost you, sir.
Hello, did you lose me somewhere?
Yeah.
So I'm sure this is one sector which I had done 3 events in Central America, and again I am very passionate myself about the leather industry. I had worked with many of the leather industry friends. So the moment I'm there, we're very sure I'll definitely take this up.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Mr. S.M. Shankar, can you please go ahead if you'd like to add your comments? Mr. S.M. Shankar?
Can you hear me?
Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah. Thank you, His Excellency. I really thank for the wonderful presentation. And as part of the food committee, we have done a wonderful conclave here. And we are expecting to do a bigger format this year, month of October. We would like to know the participation, because we are having country-wise participation. And we would like to know what way Sudan can be part of the food business.
Sure. If Mr. Vinod can send me a small message on this about the background, and we will see if we will try and push through and see if what kind of participation that we can get from Sudan. We will definitely do that.
Thank you. And what kind of normally your exports? What do you look at?
Pardon?
Food business. What are the producers of products?
Food business, as I said, all as of now I know is the material that I read from the brief, but I am told that there is a lot of food materials which can be exported from Sudan. The sesame seeds, they are the largest producers. Peanuts, and this Rosa Jamaica, which is again very used in flavored drinks. They produce a lot. Dried lime, they produce a lot. But I'll still, I will go there further. I will get more. We can see what are the matchmakings that we can do, and I'll be glad to engage with you.
Really nice of you, and thank you, Mr. President, for giving me the opportunity.
Okay, great.
Gentlemen, anybody else would like to add to your comments?
My name is Hari. Good evening to all. Thank you so much for this, this meet, which is really going to help us, because I am part of global logistics. I am with Naveen. Generally, when we talk about Port Sudan and all these Africa ports, generally there is hardly any the NVOCC guys who have been dealing with the operations. I mean the non-vessel operating container carrier, who if you see mainly the mainline operator will be they'll be interesting to venture into that ports. But you have hardly any NVOCC guy. But we are now slowly expanding our things. And we really look forward with the potential which we are talking about, the two-way connections, right? Inbound and outbound. Even we can able to venture that, the sectors. and it is really very welcoming things after having this meet. So we look forward that we get a great support from this body.
Absolutely, absolutely. It appears that logistics is something that we can do a lot. So we can have a separate, like an interaction on logistics, and I will be in touch with Mr. Vinod, and we can handle that. It will be great.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you so much for that.
I really thank all of you. It was like a great introductory, meeting for me with Siki. So I really thank the president, the members, and of course my colleague, Mr. Venkat and Vinod. Thank you very much for this, and it's very encouraging. The way we could organize this meeting within a few hours itself is very encouraging. Sure, I'll be in touch with the body, the president, and its members. And if required, if we have to organize a very formal event, I would request our head of branch secretariat to also, be the nodal point for organizing such an event. So thank you very much for this opportunity.
Please go ahead.
Yeah. Thank you, Your Excellency. Thank you, members. I thank each and every participant for taking their time, investing their time in being a part of the session. Though it was short notice, you had chosen to be a part of the session. I thank His Excellency for being so very dynamic and forthcoming in his invitation to partner with the Chamber. We rarely see this kind of response, and we would definitely ensure that we carry forward this momentum. So this event is just the beginning. I request all the members also to stay engaged with us in this regard. And as suggested by His Excellency, maybe a week after he joins, we will continue from today's session. And we hope to take up on his offer of 8 to 10 events within the next 1 year. So multi-sectoral, multiple levels of collaboration with Sudan and Africa in general. So this will be our roadmap for the next 1 year. So I also would like to extend my thanks to Dr. Venkatachalam. He has been so kind, and frequently he has been interacting with us and helping us connect with various countries and agencies. Thank you so much, Dr. Venkat. With these few words, I thank the members for taking part. I request you all to stay in touch with us, be engaged with us in this regard. And I take this opportunity to wish you a good evening and safe times ahead. Thank you. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.